America Rising to the FINSH by Veronica West 11-2-2024 Vision, Rising Above, the Battle for America's Destiny. Today, while in prayer, while we were praying and warring in our IDH War Room for America, in a vision, I suddenly saw two hot air balloons rising into the sky, and both balloons were engaged in a race towards Washington, D.C. As I looked at the first balloon, I saw it was colored fully in red, which symbolized the Republican Party, and yet I knew by the Spirit that it was speaking to the new covenant. It represented the power of Jesus' blood rising over America. The second balloon had a strange and yet vibrant rainbow design, which represented the Democratic Party, and yet I also knew again by the Spirit that it spoke to the power of a counterfeit covenant which embodied a wicked, woke, and one world order and agenda that was looking to take hold in the nation. Now as both balloons began to rise, I saw a fierce and violent battle unfolding. A battle between good and evil was unfolding in the spiritual realm, righteousness clashing against the uprising of evil. This was about a confrontation between two altars rising, the altar of Baal versus the altar of Elijah. And I heard these words, clash of kingdoms, for a battle rages with the prince of the air for full power and dominion in the earth realm. I felt it was prophetically significant that I was watching a hot air balloon race unfolding. This speaks powerfully, too, where the battle is unfolding for the destiny and birthright of a nation. It's a battle in heavenly places, for our battle is not on ground level with flesh and blood but with the devil, who is the prince of the power of the air. Ephesians 2:2. As I watched the race begin between the two hot air balloons, I noticed that both balloons were equipped with large burners, and the sound of the burners firing filled the air as flames were released, generating hot air to lift the balloons off the ground. And I heard these words, these are the days of counterfeit fire versus true fire. One fire brings life and redemption, the other brings death and destruction. The race was in full swing, and I watched as the two hot air balloons ascended higher and higher into the sky, both swiftly making their way across the diverse landscape of the 50 states towards Washington, D.C. When suddenly, I heard the loud sound of gunfire, and I knew this was an attack on the big red balloon. Bullets were relentlessly aimed at the basket and the balloon. The sharp and echoing sound was like that of a high-powered rifle. These were shots from a skilled sharpshooter or a sniper. These shots had precision, they were long-range shots strategically targeting the balloon. But as the bullets struck, I watched as the bullets ricocheted off the basket and balloon. The resilience of the balloon and its protective measures became evident as it continued to rise higher. Undeterred and untouched, the big red balloon proved to be virtually bulletproof. I knew by the Spirit that this spoke of the divine protection and preservation that comes from being under and warring from the place and position of covenant. The blood speaks, and it speaks a better thing. The blood covers and sets bold boundaries around our lives, and makes us in essence bulletproof against the weapons formed and fashioned against us. Halleluja. This also spoke powerfully to the days to come. The fire of the Spirit, the fire of His glory, will become as a protective canopy over His remnant. His purified and sanctified vessels will be safely hidden and concealed in the basket of His divine presence, His perfect will and kingdom purpose. Like baby Moses, when Pharaoh sent out a decree which sought to kill all the babies, God raised up a mighty deliverer, who was hidden in a basket in the bulrushes, a mighty deliverer, who He safely preserved from the death assignment of Herod. I prophesy, God is bringing forth a mighty deliverance to a nation in this hour of great battle for its destiny and birthright. A mighty deliverance through His mighty remnant of fearless deliverers, who will be protected and preserved in a blood-stained basket. The weaving of the basket also speaks to the spiritual texture of the new wineskin now emerging. Now I watched as the red-hot air balloon continued to advance forward with great acceleration across the landscape, when suddenly, the rainbow balloon reappeared in my line of sight, and then I saw what looked like a fleet or a shower of fiery silver arrows slicing through the air with deadly precision coming towards the balloon. Again I knew by the Spirit that the fiery arrows were the prayers of God's remnant strike force, huh? The arrows were razor-sharp and imbued with potent penetrating power. I watched as the arrows struck the thick skin of the balloon with a silent yet lethal force. And as the fiery arrows found their mark, I watched as the hot air within the balloon began escaping rapidly, causing the balloon to lose both momentum and altitude. And I looked again, and in the basket below, I saw frantic attempts being made to increase the flame from the burner in a desperate attempt to prevent the balloon from descending and plummeting to the ground. However, the relentless barrage of fiery arrows just kept coming, dozens, then hundreds, and then thousands of arrows, piercing and penetrating the very wide expanse of the already compromised skin of the balloon, which began to create more and more holes. The once vibrant rainbow balloon began to develop large tears and ruptures, allowing even more hot air to seep out. With each passing moment, the balloon started to fall rapidly. Now, as I watched this unfolding, I continued to pray fervently for the nation in tongues, and then I saw again the red balloon, and it was moving with even greater momentum and power, rising higher and racing towards the finish line. And I heard the Spirit say, "My remnant must rise. My ecclesia must govern, and my warriors must war from a place of victory. For this battle is a battle for the destiny and birthright of nations. So do not retreat, do not shrink back in fear. It's time to advance. 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 It's time to strike. 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 It's time to pursue, overcome, and recover all in this war." P.S. Please take note, in this unfolding vision I saw the red balloon racing towards the finish line. This means that the outcome of this battle is still ongoing. The battle is raging. This means the arrows must continue to be released with precision, with accuracy, and with ferocity. In this critical hour there can be no room for complacency or passivity. If the warriors are not on the wall shooting the fiery arrows and sounding the alarm, then the enemy gains an advantage. It is imperative that we remain vigilant and alert in the face of the many dangers ahead of this race. We must be fiercely proactive in defending the walls of our nations, and standing firm against every one of the enemy's ruthless and devious attacks. Never underestimate the enemy. Satan is an old and treacherous foe. Now is not the time to falter or hesitate in the hour of battle, but to stand strong and united in the face of adversity. We must be fearless warriors, ready to fight for righteousness and to protect what God has entrusted to us. So let us rise up and face the great challenges ahead with courage and determination, knowing that together as the remnant of Christ we are stronger, empowered by His Spirit, to overcome any obstacle and push back every demonic threat. We stay ready, we stay focused, and we stay strong. The battle is before us, and we must not back down. Vision note. And lastly, for the sake of clarity, it is important to note that prophets do not make predictions based on personal preferences, political biases, or opinions. True prophecy must be free from human influence. In order to carry the purity and power of God's message, prophecy is speaking the will, heart, and mind of Christ in a given situation, even when the message God gives may be difficult to hear or deliver. Prophets are called to embody purity and humility before God alone, without ever seeking to build a reputation or secure personal gain. To be truly used by God, a prophet must die to earthly desires and ego, as they are beneath the vessel. Yield it to His divine will and a vision. Take action. Strike the arrows 7 times for victory, declaring victory for America. Pray for America, the righteous leadership. Remind God of His covenant over America. Stand and face the coming challenges with courage. Stay ready. Do not retreat.